Good evening and happy first day of February. Welcome back to Right Side Now. I'm Liz Willis, and tonight RSBN will bring you real news right now. A maximum security prison is on lockdown. President Trump's Supreme Court pick, confirmation hearings, construction of the controversial pipeline, and California to become a sanctuary state. That's what we'll be talking about tonight. Stay tuned. In case you somehow missed it, President Trump tapped Judge Neil Gorsuch last night to fill the Supreme Court vacancy. Let's take a minute to see our president announce his pick.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. When Justice Scalia passed away suddenly last February, I made a promise to the American people. If I were elected president, I would find the very best judge in the country for the Supreme Court. I promise to select someone who respects our laws and is representative of our Constitution and who loves our Constitution, and someone who will interpret them as written. This may be the most transparent judicial selection process in history. Months ago, as a candidate, I publicly presented a list of brilliant and accomplished people to the American electorate and pledged to make my choice from among that list. Millions of voters said this was the single most important issue to them when they voted for me for president. I am a man of my word. I will do as I say, something that the American people have been asking for from Washington for a very, very long time. Today, thank you. Today, I am keeping another promise to the American people by nominating Judge Neil Gorsuch of the United States Supreme Court to be of the United States Supreme Court. And I would like to ask Judge Gorsuch and his wonderful wife, Louise, to please step forward. Please, Louise, Judge. Here they come. Here they come.
President Trump followed that by saying, "Are you surprised?" Well, not very many were surprised. Conservatives see Gorsuch as a fitting successor to the late Antonin Scalia. President Trump spoke on behalf of Gorsuch's credentials and legal mind and noted that Gorsuch was confirmed unanimously to his current judicial post. Gorsuch has since served on the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver for more than a decade. Gorsuch has been referred to as an outstanding pick who understands the constitutional limits on the authority of a federal judge. So what does this mean for the Supreme Court? If confirmed to the High Court, which is set for 6 weeks from now, Gorsuch would like to take the seat that has remained vacant since Justice Scalia died nearly 1 year ago. Gorsuch was among President Trump's original 21 potential choices that circulated during his presidential campaign. It's no surprise that Democrats are not happy with a Republican Supreme Court pick. Some Democrats have even vowed to oppose President Trump's pick. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer has raised the potential threat of a filibuster, demanding that the Senate insist the nominee gets 60 votes, meaning President Trump needs to find at least 8 Democrats that are willing to support his pick. Schumer explained, quote, "The burden is on Judge Neil Gorsuch to prove himself to be within the legal mainstream and, in this new era, willing to vigorously defend the Constitution from abuses of the executive branch and protect the constitutionally enshrined rights of all Americans. Given his record, I have very serious doubts about Judge Gorsuch's ability to meet this standard." Trump, though, said his nominee's qualifications are beyond dispute, and he added, "I only hope that both Democrats and Republicans can come together for once, for the good of the country." Let's go to our senior political analyst Will Nardi to see what he thinks about this. Hey, Will, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me, Liz?
Awesome, Will. Yes, I can hear you, but I can't see you. So if I'm just staring at a blank screen, bear with me. All right, so Will, why don't you introduce yourself for those who haven't seen you yet, and then we'll get started with some questions.
All right, how's it going, you guys? My name is Will Nardi. I'm the co-host of Raised Right on RSBN. I'm the senior policy analyst here at RSBN, and I'm also a student, sophomore at Liberty University, and I study government here.
All right, great job, Will. So you were very pleased last night following Trump's announcement. Tell us why you think Neil Gorsuch was the top choice for President Trump to choose as the Supreme Court Justice.
I mean, Gorsuch is just fantastic. First of all, just want to give a shout out to President Trump for being a man of his word and staying on to the list of the original court justices that he was going to pick. He's been a man of his word on everything that he's done so far, and that's been fantastic. But let's go to Gorsuch for a second. First of all, guy's 49 years old. He's going to be in there for a long time. So that's if he's confirmed, which, we're praying for. But Gorsuch is a textualist conservative, very similar to the views of the late Antonin Scalia, which is that he looks at the Constitution, at what the original intent was with the framers, and he looks not just at that, but also at the very specific language, where commas are placed, things like that, because that's very important when going through. Because back in the day, it was very intentional, the kind of text that they used when they were writing these legal documents. So he has a very pure interpretation of the Constitution, far from Chuck Schumer's mainstream legal interpretation of the Constitution. I don't know what that means, but I don't want to go with any of the new stuff in our pop culture today. You interpret the Constitution the way that it was meant and the way that it was written, and that's how you stay to it. And that's why Gorsuch is going to be fantastic. And besides the fact that this guy was unanimously, and I mean everyone there, approved this guy to his position in the Federal Court of Appeals. So now he's going to go before the Senate again, and anyone who shows opposition, you'll know, is not doing this because they have doubts, like Chuck Schumer said, serious doubts that he is up for the job. Anyone who is against him right now is only doing it for the political motivation because they do not like Donald Trump. Gorsuch was a fantastic pick, and I am very pleased.
Do you think the fact that when he was originally appointed and he had a unanimous appointment confirmation, do you think that factored into President Trump's pick for him? Maybe that it was strategically done because it would show quite possibly the hypocrisy of the left if they so choose to deny or give him a negative vote?
Oh, 100% absolutely. Look, Donald Trump is a businessman. Everything that he does is done very purposefully. And right now, the Democrats are sitting over here playing chicken. They don't know what is going to happen regardless. But meanwhile, there were protesters with pre-made signs outside of the confirmation hearing, not confirmation hearing, outside of the appointment hearing. And everyone was there. And they were ready. No matter who Trump chose, they were going to be against because they just don't like conservatives. And that's what it comes down to. But Donald Trump chose someone who has been unanimously selected before, from bipartisan support from both sides. Now, like I said, if anyone is against this guy, that's not because they don't think he's up for the job. This guy was an alumnus of Harvard, of Columbia, and from Oxford University. So he's a brilliant academic scholar on top of being a brilliant legal mind. And if anyone tries to go against it at this point, you know what their motivations are.
I agree. So as you know, Democrats have been meeting all week trying to decide whether or not they will support Gorsuch. Do you think they will choose to support him or not? Do you think that we're going to be able to get those 8 seats if we need them? Are they going to do a filibuster? If so, what do we do? How can we get him confirmed?
So let's talk a little bit about what has been the reaction since Gorsuch was announced. So you have Chuck Schumer saying he has very serious doubts about Gorsuch being up to the job, but that's Chuck Schumer and he's a pushover. And then you have the DNC releasing a statement saying that he's a right-wing ideologue with more extreme views than Antonin Scalia. Now, the liberals hated Antonin Scalia. I'm just going to put that out there. And the liberals are probably going to hate Gorsuch as well. And that's fantastic for us as conservatives, because if they hate him, that means we're going to love him. If his right-wing ideologue views means that he's pro-choice, if that means that he is pro-life, that's perfect for us. But obviously, the Democrats are going to have a hard time with that. Meanwhile, what he said during his speech, which was very important, is that he said, aside from his personal views as a conservative, as a Christian, he's going to uphold the law as it was written. And that means even if he was a liberal, if he takes that promise, then that means he is going to interpret with his textualist interpretation of the Constitution exactly how it was written. And that's very important because we'll see that he has integrity because of that. And Neil Katyal, who was the acting Solicitor General under President Obama, came out this morning and wrote an op-ed in the New York Times saying why liberals should support Gorsuch. And he even called him excellent, fantastic pick. He said he's going to bring a sense of fairness and decency to the job and a temperament that suits the nation's highest court. Now you have a liberal who is actually in one of the highest offices of the court who is saying this, and meanwhile you have Chuck Schumer and the DNC over here. So you see politics versus people who actually understand the job, and one of them is saying one thing, one of them is saying the other thing. Hopefully, the Democrats are not going to try to placate to their base on this one, and they're not going to give him a hard time with a confirmation. But if you look at everything that they've been doing, it's not very indicative of that. We've been trying to confirm the cabinet picks since January 10th last month, and here we are now. It's February 1st, and we're still going at it. Trump's been in office for how many days, and he doesn't even have his advisors with him. So the Democrats are just doing this because they want to halt things, they want to stall things, and it's just completely ridiculous. They're acting like a bunch of crying children that are not getting their way. But in the end, everyone knows that there's nothing you can do to stop the Republican-controlled Congress and the Republican presidency. Now, you mentioned also a little bit about the nuclear option, so I want to explain what that means because that's what everyone's talking about.
Please do. It confuses me as well, so I'm sure the audience would love to hear.
Absolutely. So essentially what's going on is that there are 52 Republicans in the Senate who occupy seats, and then there are 48 Democrats. Now, to get somebody approved in the Senate, you need 60 seats, 60 members to approve a confirmation, which means that the Democrats, you're going to need 8 Democrats to support on top of every single Republican to make 60. So for that to happen, you're going to need to get bipartisan support for the confirmation of Gorsuch. But if the Democrats are going to be like this, like they've been with all the rest of the people for Trump's cabinet picks, then you're going to have to move around that. So the option is that because Republicans have the majority still, what we can do is rewrite the rules so that instead of needing 60 votes in the Senate to confirm an appointment from the executive branch, we can lower that number to 51. So if we bring it down from 60 to 51 and we have 52 seats, then we're going to be able to push these people through with only 51 votes, and we'll have plenty of people to do that.
How long would it take for the Senate to rewrite that law, allowing 51 confirmations to confirm him?
So, I mean, it could take a little while because the Democrats, there's a lot of sneaky tricks that you can play on the Senate floor in the books. I mean, you can boycott, you can choose not to show up to the meeting so that you don't have a quorum, you can try to filibuster, you can do all these different types of tactics, but in the end, it's going to go through. So this could take a couple weeks, this could take up to a month. You know, it really varies on how much stalling that they're going to put into this and what is the reaction that's going to be. But in the end, it's going to get done. This is the nuclear option. This is what everyone's talking about. So you can't stop this from happening. And hopefully the Democrats will, not give us any more trouble and they'll smarten up, because what will happen is if this goes through and we do lower that number from 60 to 51, and let's say one of the other Supreme Court judges decides to retire, then they're going to be going through this all over again, and we're not going to have to wait. If they want to show any opposition with a Republican-controlled Congress, we're going to be able to confirm them right through, and it won't even matter. And honestly, I hope that they use the nuclear option, because that's going to make it a lot easier for us to get all the other appointments through and for us to be able to get any new conservative Supreme Court justices that come up in the future.
All right, well, thanks for clarifying that. And one final question. Is 6 weeks a normal time to wait after being appointed to your confirmation hearing? Is 6 weeks normal? Fox News reported this morning that from today, it'll be 6 weeks until Judge Gorsuch is able to have his hearing. Is that normal?
So the typical time is about 25 days. So that's about 4 weeks. Now you're pushing 6 weeks. So this is, like I said, everything that's been going on since the beginning. We've been working since January 10th just to get this going. And we're still at this point here weeks later. The Democrats have been stalling. They've been protesting. They've been acting like children. And do I think it's going to stop? No, the Democrats. And that's simply what it comes down to. They have a different worldview than we do. They have a different way of looking at things. And if I was in their position, I wouldn't be happy either. But I wouldn't be trying to stall the inevitable, because that's just making me look bad. That's preventing Trump from doing what he needs to do. And if I was the Democrats, I would say, okay, well, let them do it. And if everything goes crazy, then the people are going to realize that, and he's not going to get reelected. But that's not what's going on. They realize that Donald Trump is going to do a great job. They realize that he's got fantastic picks and fantastic cabinet picks, and they don't want him to do well in office. They want somebody who's a liberal, who's going to fundamentally change the country to win in 2020. That's not going to happen. Donald Trump's going to do it. And even if it takes a few extra weeks, we're still going to get a fantastic group in there. So I'm very, very hopeful and confident for the future.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for joining us, bringing your insightful and educated opinions to the show. I look forward to hearing more from you. For now, we're going to carry on back to the show, and you can follow Will if you have any other questions for him. All right. Now moving on to more confirmations in case you didn't. Attorney General was approved by the Senate committee. He now heads to the Senate floor, and Republicans in the Senate Finance Committee decided to suspend its rules on February 1st after Democrats boycotted another hearing on nominating Steve Mnuchin for Treasury Secretary and Tom Price for Health and Human Services. The nominees now head to the Senate floor for a yay or nay vote. And finally, Rex Tillerson, the former chairman and chief executive of ExxonMobil, was confirmed by the Senate just this afternoon in a 56-43 vote to become the nation's 69th Secretary of State. Now moving on from our hot topic from D.C. to Cali, the Democratic lawmakers in California made a move yesterday to become the first sanctuary state, not city. Senate Bill 54, or as some people may call it, the Sanctuary State Bill, would create a statewide sanctuary for illegal immigrants, provide money to pay lawyers for immigrants facing deportation, and to hamper any attempts by President Donald Trump's administration to create a Muslim registry. This particular move comes days after President Trump launched a crackdown on immigration in sanctuary cities across the nation. On Tuesday, San Francisco filed a lawsuit against President Trump, claiming his executive order that cut funding from sanctuary cities is an unconstitutional and is a severe invasion of San Francisco's sovereignty. Sacramento Democrats on the State Senate Public Safety Committee voted along party lines to prohibit state and local law enforcement from cooperating with customs agents. The State Senate Public Safety Committee approved the measure in a 5-2 party line vote less than a week after Trump signed an order threatening to withdraw some federal grants from sanctuary cities. Republicans and law enforcement groups said the bill would make it harder to keep Californians safe. Senator Jeff Stone, who voted against the measure, said, quote, "I think this bill is making it much more difficult for the federal authorities to get the most dangerous criminals that we want to deport to keep our communities safe," unquote. The California sanctuary legislation now goes to the Senate Appropriations Committee. And moving on to the pipeline, last week President Donald Trump signed the executive order showing his support of the Dakota pipeline. This week, the United States Army has been ordered to allow the construction on the final section of the pipeline. In an announcement on Tuesday, North Dakota Senator John Hoban said that the acting Secretary of the Army, Robert Speer, ordered the Corps to allow the work necessary to complete the pipeline. The officials from the Department of the Army said on Wednesday it had taken the first steps to, quote, expeditiously review requests for approvals to build and operate the pipeline, but it does not mean the project is set to move forward. The Assistant Secretary for the Army Civil Works will make a decision on the pipeline once a full review and an analysis is completed. And in technology today, on January 12, 2017, the city of Washington, D.C. was hit by a ransomware attack. The attack lasted until January 15th, when the city was able to remove the ransomware from their systems. But what was the target of this attack? The attack took out 123 of the 187 video recorders of the city's CCTV cameras that were monitoring public areas, such as intersections. The police are concerned as this could have been disastrous if a crime had been committed in those areas, and the CCTV footage could have been used for evidence for the cases. It is unknown whether or not this is the case. Ransomware is a piece of malicious software that locks up a computer system by encrypting the data to prevent the user from being able to gain access to it. The concept behind ransomware is to trick the user into paying a certain fee to receive the encryption key to unlock the information. Many users pay the fee to avoid losing any of their data. Officials urged that no one was in danger because of this outage. This hack does bring to light growing concerns on cybersecurity as warfare moves from the battlefield to the keyboard. And in entertainment, TMZ is reporting that Beyoncé, or Queen Bee as you might know her, is pregnant again with twins this time. Beyoncé posted on her Instagram account that she is pregnant with twins, and she captioned the photo, "We would like to share out our love and happiness. We have been blessed 2 times over. We are incredibly grateful that our family will be growing by 2, and we thank you for your well wishes. Signed, the Carters." Moving on to sports news, according to public policy polling, 27% want the Patriots to win, and 53% want the Falcons to win the Super Bowl. It seems Deflategate took its toll on the Patriots, but I can't argue those stats. And as an Atlanta native, I have to say, go Falcons. Now that we got all that out of the way, let's end on a happy note. A Boston bombing marathon survivor who lost her leg is said to marry the firefighter who saved her after her mother played matchmaker. Roseanne, a Boston native and keen runner who had gone to cheer on her friends in the city's marathon, had been standing close to where the second bomb exploded at the finishing line of the race in 2013. After the bombs went off, firefighter Mike, who she calls her guardian angel, used a belt as a makeshift tourniquet for her badly injured leg and held her hand as she was rushed to the hospital. As she recovered, Mike visited her in the hospital and their romance grew from there. Last month, he proposed while the pair was on vacation in Nantucket after he put a special engraved dog tag on their pup named Sal, saying, "Mike wants to know, ... if you'll marry him." Now, as well as planning their nuptials, they also have a book in the works called Perfect Strangers. The story is about 4 lives that intersected during the marathon bombing. It is due to be released in March. Congratulations, you two. What a beautiful ending to a horrific event. Thank you for tuning in to Right Side Now. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at RSBN Network, on Facebook at Right Side Broadcasting, and on our website at rsbn.tv. From Auburn, Alabama, God bless you, America, and good night.
So RSBN was born in a 1-bedroom office in Pensacola, Florida. And once I realized the potential that we had to become sort of this new media, the people's media, I knew I had something special, and we decided to move our family to Auburn, Alabama. And so now here we are, and you know, Right Side is everything to my family. It's all we have.
I know personally for me, after graduating from college and not really knowing where I was going to go, I couldn't find a job. I applied and applied and applied, and I couldn't find a job. So I moved across the state to Auburn, Alabama, and joined Right Side Broadcasting. And I know without that opportunity, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be able to support my family.
For months leading up to graduation, I didn't know what I was going to do. I sent out my resume, I lined up interviews, and I did as many internships as I could, one after the other, waiting to find something that just clicked for me. I wanted to find a passion, and I wanted to love what I did. Finding RSBN was nothing short of divine intervention. I had spent time praying that my passion and my profession would line up.
I relocated from Colorado to Alabama to work for Right Side Broadcasting. Right Side Broadcasting has given me a platform to express my views and opinions to you, the viewers.
I moved here from Bettendorf, Iowa. We are so honored and blessed to have had the company grow as much as it has, but there's still room for us to grow.
The thing that is most important to me as far as being a part of this is the mission. True journalism survives.
I moved from Los Angeles to Alabama to work at Right Side, and you might wonder, why would I do that? Well, Right Side to me, it's a really unique chance to do news in a different way. I'm really excited to do stuff that's unique and new and different, and Right Side, I felt, is a place that can give us that chance to do that, and that's why I moved all the way here.
All of these people, including myself, rely on generous donations from people like you. Without your support, we couldn't give you the content and coverage that we offer. We exist to serve the people, and now we need your help. Please help us take Right Side Broadcasting to the next level. Thank you.